Welcome back to Power Play Garage. See that? That's what it is. A YouTube. But as you can see, what used to be there isn't there at the moment. It will be back there. We had a little mishap with an antifreeze leak. We were running it. It's running really smooth. We're trying to dial everything in. And we discovered we had a little leak. So I had to take it outside and wash her down. Can't have that silliness sprayed all over the engine bay area and then some. So as it sits outside in the sun, yeah, you could see that thing glisten. You can catch that gold pearl. That's right. Just look at that. We had to do a little adjustment on the rear, tighten up the coil springs a little more, and I still have a little bit more yet to do on that. We have a different air cleaner on there. I think this is more appropriate for the style of this car versus what was on there originally. The client agreed, the client bought it, and I installed it. I like it. I like it a lot. Got the AC charged. Might need a little bit more. The full 24 ounces has not been put in. I think we might have hopefully fixed. Yep, we fixed the fact that we couldn't actually buy a plug for the underneath. And I don't know why CPP didn't give you any plugs to seal up the extra hole. I don't understand. Nothing. So I don't get it. But it's been taken care of. It's all ready to go. Now I'm going to take the air hose to it and get all the water out of there. Make sure there's no water left in there. And then we will push it back in. I will get the adjustment on this a little bit higher, and that should take care of that. So in the meantime, we got a few more things we got to do to get done. That was a bit of a hiccup, but at least actually I got to wash down the car. I have to do one final buff on there. I don't really have to, but I'm going to. It's like just kind of makes it pop even more, the third stage of it. So until then, stand by. Okay, I'm back. And what I did was I went inside to my sewing machine where sometimes I make stuff, and I took the heat wrap that you would use for exhaust, and I cut it to a certain length, folded them over, and then I stitched them with a heavy thread. Reason being is, what I want to do is, which I think will be most helpful when it comes to the wires that go to the plugs that sit alongside the headers. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. This is just the AC stuff. I need to finish charging it, but I need to run it in order to do it. So my thought is, because I don't like, even though they have the heat socks on the wires, I felt that it would be more conducive if I was able to bring these wires closer together and using that wrap and do it like that. Hopefully you can see that. I will make it, I will stitch it. We're going to use snaps like that they use on boats when they're snapping down the tarp, their roofing or whatever. Well, I figured if I sew this like this, it's adding more protection for those socks in the wire, and it's keeping the wire from even resting even though the socks are on there. So in order to mark it, so I'm going to get my white, which I should have grabbed it, my white marker, and mark it so when I bring them in there, I can sew it, pull the plug wire out, both of them, slip them up in there, and put the plug wires back on there. That's how I'm going to do that. So here's the white marker. I'm just going to put a little white dab where I think it's comfortable, which I believe that is. Yeah, that's good right there. I like that. And now I'll just put a white mark across the top. I'll verify that by bringing it around Yep, that will work. And see, that's how that will be done. I'll stitch this in there just by doing it like this, and do the same thing for the other side. So I'm going to leave this one on this side. I'm going to go around and do the same thing to the other. So once I'm done actually sewing them, I'm going to bring it back on, put them on, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So stand by. All right, I'm back. As you can see, it is sewn, black gloves and what have you, but with the fiberglass that's in here, it just makes you itch to no end. So I'm going to slip this on there. The other side is already done. So this is the right side, passenger. And pull all this stuff off. And I'm going to put the seam to the back. Okay, that just snapped in place. Now for this one, there we go. And as you can see, it's doing exactly what I wanted to do. Yep. Let me get you a little bit closer. Hopefully you'll get to see it better. See, now we have a gap here and the gap there. And it's with the same material as the heat wrap for the exhaust. So with a little bit of luck, I think that'd be great. This one already has the space alongside of it. This one here goes around and goes up and underneath, so it doesn't need it. So with the boot, the sock is on the other end of the number 2 spark plug. Yeah, and let me show you the other side. Now because of the dipstick, this is already way over there. If this was to end up over here, then it wouldn't be a whole lot of room between these 2 points. Though this plug here, and because of that right there, it's not really pulling it apart, but I couldn't sew this any closer together. There was no room to kind of turn the material so that I could sew it. So if anything, it has extra protection alongside the header, and that's all I was looking for. All right, so that's going to wrap that part up for now. I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing originally, and that is finish charging the system. Then I'm going to get the stuff down for the interior for tomorrow, and whatever else I plan on doing tonight, I'm going to get done. And so this way we're just a little bit further along. So until tomorrow, have a good night. It's the next day, I'm back. And I had to do some modification to the shift levers bracket for the transmission. Kind of give you a little idea. This originally for the 350 trans would bolt into the side holes here into the side of the transmission. The 700R does not give that option. So you have to go up through the bottom of the oil pan, use a couple of their bolts. So I actually had to cut one end off and I moved it back here on the other end, welded it up, and painted it. So I'm going to show you where it goes. That slot goes between the 2 nuts on the cable and the washers, and then this goes on there like that. And I had to make sure that it was in park so I can get a good adjustment, get the holes where I need it, and how I can actually test that besides just doing this with the wheel, but also the switch when you go to do the ignition to turn it over, if it's not in park or neutral, what did I do there? Hopefully I didn't do anything there. But anyway, if it's not in park or in neutral, it will not crank. So I'm going to get going on this, get this bolted up in there, get it in place, and make sure my adjustment on the cable is good. And then I'm going to work on adjusting the cable up front, up at the linkage where the carburetor is. Someone was supposed to come and help me with that, and that did not happen. So I'm going to take it upon myself to do the best I can with that adjustment. I'm sure from what I've tested on another 700 R4, I should get within correct, reasonable adjustment. So until then, stand by. Okay, it's the next day, and I'm going to point out a few things that we encountered along the way. Considering today is Wednesday, Thursday evening, the latest, the car will be going back and forth to the client's house so that Friday morning she can leave out with the car to an event. And after the event is over, 3-day event, then she'll be bringing it back. But in the meantime, I did a short video, TikTok video, on Hydro Boost setup. And we got an aftermarket power steering box from a company that did not come with any instructions as far as high side pressure wise in return when it came to the steering box. And both had similar fittings, one being a little bit larger than the other. It still didn't give any clue because it didn't look like the standard type steering box. So hooking it up based on a phone call to another company that was familiar but gave the wrong information. It was the wrong way, the high and the return. So this morning we had to take the lines out, go to the place, have them cut, put new fittings on, and switch. Just got done putting it in, and it works beautiful. So when you're hooking up a Hydro Boost setup, just make sure in the steering box that you know what side is the pressure side and what side is the return. Obviously very important, or it will not work. Really, it'll seem like it will, but it really won't. It'll tear your arm off. So another little thing we came into, I believe the wiring harness setup could be from Rod Francis. It looks like it. They are top shelf, but for some reason the brake lights would not work. All the wiring is there, and I don't think they worked from day one when she got the car. I really don't. That's just my opinion. So we kind of did a bypass. We ran a separate new line from that box, the fuse box panel with all the labels on there, all the way back to the rear light. And now we got brake lights. Safety, number one, and that's part of the safety. You got to see those brake lights go on. Turn signals, we're going to worry about that later. They don't work, and we're going to figure that out. So, and that could be because someone didn't order the correct steering column with the ignition in it and the setup. So the car was based on and set up for that type in the column, and we had to do an external ignition switch and everything else that had to do with the steering column. It was definitely a little different than the one that was in it. So now what we're going to do is we have a ground issue on a headlight. We had the same problem on this one here. We had to run a new ground because inside the bucket it's got corrosion where the two pieces come together. So once we fix that one, because that one was originally working but now it's acting up, we have to take that apart and fix it. And then we'll have headlights, we'll have tail lights, and brake lights. Engine-wise, running seems to be smooth. The AC is working great. I went over everything last night, tightening a lot of stuff up just to make sure. And after that, we're going to stick the interior in it. But in the meantime, we're good to go on the major parts. So until the next part, stand by. All right, I'm back. And a lot of progress was made. We had to get the correction on the power steering at the gearbox, and I made that correction this morning. All was working out well. We had some wiring issues in the back for the brake lights. We got that worked out. So obviously when she goes put on the brakes, everybody knows she's slowing down or stopping. We got, I think, all the interior other than the seat. Yeah, other than the seat, which is the easiest part. It was better off if we left the seat out, because we had to run wiring and stuff till the seat needed to come out. But at least you can see the door panels are on, the trim around the glass on both sides, kick panels and stuff are in. All is well. So tomorrow definitely going to be finishing up all the important stuff, and tomorrow it's not the final leave, but it'll be the leave for her to go and do her trip that she paid for a 3-day weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm sure she's going to enjoy it, have a good time. And at least I'll get some runs in tomorrow sometime, because I got to drive it down to where the client lives. And then the client will be driving me back, and then she'll be driving back with the car. And hopefully, even though it might only be 75, 80 miles, it's not enough. You got to put at least 200 miles on these when you're done building a car. And I did build a new car, so it's always good to run about at least 200 miles. Make sure there's no issues. Kind of went over everything last night with tightening up anything in the engine bay area, for the coolant leaks, if there would be a possible one, just make sure all the hose clamps are there, tighten up the actual water pump, make sure all those bolts were still tight, all that stuff like that, just to reassure, just in case. So that's pretty much going to close out this segment of this video for this 1933 5-window Dodge Coupe. We will be back on it again sometime next week, because, like I said, she's going to be gone with it for 3 days and hopefully enjoying the heck out of herself with the car. So if y'all would like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate it if you make a comment. Hopefully I'll get to see it, reply to it, and in the meantime, try to get something done. Have a good one.